Hi, everybody. This is Rick over here at the tavern. I'm going to start tonight's podcast a little bit differently than I normally would because I have something that I would like to address and just a couple of things I would like to say that are not at all related to the Onyx Tavern at all. So for those of you who are just wanting to listen to the tavern, feel free to skip ahead. I don't blame you at all. But since this is my programming, I just want to take some time out to address something that's very important to me. And just kind of let you guys know what's kind of going on here. So Saturday, March 1st, my close friend, classmate, co-worker, and just all-around buddy, Connor Firstman, passed away due to issues with cancer. He was 22 years old. And since that time, I've pretty much done my best to avoid Power Rangers or Sentai or the Onyx Tavern, just because I'm having issues with, I'm just having issues overall, because I'm still trying to accept what has happened, and I'm still trying to realize, I guess, the reality and the gravity of this situation. Because Connor, he was one of the first people that I met when I first came to Montana State University, and one of the first people I worked with working on with the football team. And he was pretty much the guy that showed me a bunch of stuff, protocol, what to do, what not to do. He'd already had a couple of years in the film program and was able to give me advice there. And, even helped me out with one of my film projects. He was an editor on it. But just all around, he was a close and dear friend of mine. And I don't know what to really say about him right now, because again, I'm still. I found out Saturday night at like 1 in the morning on Facebook what had happened. And I didn't fully accept it, and again, I still don't, until I talked to my boss on Monday about it. So, I'm in a very weird place at the moment, something I haven't been in for a very long time. And I'm just kind of having issues dealing with that and fully understanding what this all means. And there's still a while, I guess, for the grieving process to continue, and I'm still in that process right now. But as they say, and Connor would agree, because of the consummate pro he is and all the difficulties he had to go through just to get what he did done, the show must go on, the production must go on. So I'm going to do my best to do that, to continue on. That being said, I apologize if I'm not in the best of spirits, or if the quality of my product is not as good in the upcoming days and weeks, especially leading up to his memorial service. but I do think it's important that I continue to do my videos because, truth be told, Connor was never a big fan of the Onyx Tavern. He was always kind of like, why? Exactly. Why would anybody listen to a podcast about Power Rangers? And why are you so serious? And why should we care? And all that. He was my first critic. And basically in defiance of him, that's why I've continued to do what I do, because he never really thought that it was kind of that important, and I respect his opinion. And it's hard for people who don't love Power Rangers to understand that, and he never did, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I asked him one time to give me a topic as a non-Power Ranger fan. What would you want to hear me talk about? What would you like me to explain? And he sent me a message, and basically he said, why should I care? And he wanted me to base the entire podcast around why should we care about Power Rangers. And I guess in a broader term, what is its relevance? And you know, I just kind of laughed at him and just kind of ignored the comment and all that. And I got his advice on how to do things, and he actually did watch a few episodes and just kind of like, you talk on, and I don't understand a thing you're talking about. So I could never really get a good opinion from him other than production standpoint and what I should do, what I should not do, and things like that. But because of his help and his criticism of all things, I'd like to think that it kind of made me better as a podcaster, because he certainly made me better as a filmer, a student, and just a better overall person. And I got a million stories that I can tell about him, but I think that one is the only relevant one for the Onyx Tavern. That's the only time we've really kind of talked about it and anything he had to specifically say. But in memory of Connor and to honor him, tonight's podcast is going to be about Power Ranger movies, because we were both film students. We took aesthetics of production together. We took screenwriting together. We were in directing this semester. And what was the other class I had with him? Well, I had for a lot of classes, and we shared the room for a couple of overnight football trips and so many other things. So again, I can go on, but I'm not going to. I'll do that at another time. But for right now, I will dedicate this podcast to Connor, and we will talk about one of his favorite subjects, which is movies. And as maybe my final defiance to him in his rejection of the tavern, I will talk about Power Ranger movies. And I know if he was here right now, he'd just kind of roll his eyes and go, "What are you thinking, man, really?" But that would be Connor. So again, there's much more to go ahead and say, and this is about the 5th or 6th time I've tried recording this, and I think I finally got through it. So again, I apologize, but I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's podcast, and I hope you understand where I'm coming from and just kind of what he meant to me, and his impact, I guess, that he had on the tavern, at least in its early days. So Well, thank you guys for listening, and we will be on to the podcast here in a minute. So thank you and enjoy. Greetings and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. This is your host, the BARKEEP, and I am bringing you a new episode of the Onyx Tavern here tonight. I have already forgotten what number we are on. I apologize for that tonight. But we have a special podcast for you, dedicated to my late friend, Connor Firstman, who passed away over the weekend. And we are going to go ahead and talk about potential Power Ranger movies and scrapped Power Ranger movies. Now, despite what the Trivial Pursuit game will tell you, there have only been 2 official Power Ranger movies. Obviously, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie from '95, and Turbo, a Power Rangers movie from '97. Clash of the Red Rangers does not count, and I will get into that a little bit later. But what I want to go ahead and talk about is movies that we were potentially going to get between the Turbo movie and now, what Disney failed to do with the franchise, the, quote, 3rd movie, Clash of the Red Rangers, and what potential there is for a 3rd Power Rangers film here in the near future. So the first instance I was able to locate was mentioned that Linkari did in his History of Power Rangers review, where he stated that the Lost Galaxy cast was promised a reunion movie. Now that eventually became Trakeena's Revenge, which was the crossover with them and the Lightspeed Rangers. And we all know how problematic that was. Now, as far as them actually making a movie, I can't really find any concrete information that says that was absolute fact, other than, you know, again, Linkar and maybe a couple of interviews here or there. And even if they were promised, I wonder what Saban was planning to go ahead and do with it. On the subject of just a Lost Galaxy movie, I would find that movie itself to be problematic at best, simply because one of the things I've talked about before is there are stories in Power Rangers that end. You have watched their journey and it has come to a conclusion and it has been closed out, and there isn't much else to tell about that story. And then there are stories where there is more to learn, there is more to do, and we just kind of left their story prematurely. Now, example of each would be a story that we left prematurely and that there was more to learn and to do. I would say Zeo would fit into that category. I would say, what other series would fit into that category? Well, that's the only one I could think of off the top of my head. But most of the series have come to a logical conclusion, and among those were Lost Galaxy. And I think Lost Galaxy, because when you look at it, the story of Lost Galaxy is simply the journey of Terra Venture from Earth to the New World and the problems that arise there, and the Rangers that are born out of that adversity. Once Terra Venture is destroyed and they reach Marinoi, that is the end of their story, and everybody's pretty much completed their character arcs, and there isn't much else to go ahead and say. And I always find that to be an issue when we see Leo coming back multiple times. Not that I don't like Leo or like to see him. It's just that they pulled the Quasar Sabers out of the stone to fulfill their destiny, which was the journey of Terra Venture and of course, their journey. So where the movie would take off from there would be curious, because we also have to define the term movie. Would it be theatrical? Would it be direct-to-video? Would it be an hour-long episode broken up in 2 parts for syndication? Because if that is the route, then Trakena's Revenge is definitely within that category. I feel that theatrical release probably would not have happened, even if it was a year later after Lost Galaxy. There probably would have been something direct-to-video, but anything the plot would be on... That's curious to me. I don't know what story you can tell, and there isn't anything from the Gingaman source that would lend itself to a feature film, other than, of course, the crossover, and beyond that. Yeah, I'm just not sure the Lost Galaxy movie at that time would have been warranted, of course, given the story. Now, the next time that we heard rumblings of a feature film was for Time Force in 2001, that there was supposedly going to be a Time Force movie featuring the cast, and this was going to be a theatrical release. Now, the reason that did not happen, to the best of my knowledge, is that there was a writer's strike of that year, and of course a lot of things didn't get produced and done, and Power Rangers was a victim of that. And so the question of the Time Force movie is, would it have been canonical with the series? Would it have happened after everybody had gone back? There's been no real confirmation on what that movie would have been, other than it would have featured Time Force. And I think Time Force was probably one of those shows where a movie would have given would have been good. An adaptation to a movie would be good. Now the same is true about Lost Galaxy, but in Time Force's case, I would say that the story did end there with the capture of Rancic, because that's what that season was about the apprehension of Rancic after he went back in time. Now, if the movie was done in the middle of the series, then there's definitely a lot that could have been done there to, again, advance the story and whatnot. If it had been done at the end, after Rancic's capture, then we could have had some issues there, as far as, again, what story to tell, because there wasn't much more that Time Force could do other than the West-Jin relationship, which was further explored down the line with crossover with Wild Force, which, honestly, I think was very well done, and I don't see how a feature film could have done any better unless they were allowed to kiss and probably go and... If that was the focus of the movie, the West-Jin relationship, then yeah, maybe I could go ahead and see that. But again, for whatever reason, we didn't get a Time Force movie because of the writer's strike, obviously. And that would actually be the last mention of a Power Rangers feature film for some time. Because we know about a year later, Power Rangers was then acquired by Disney. Now, this is something that just kind of boggles my mind, that nowhere during the time that Power Rangers was owned by Disney did Disney ever state intentions or the inkling to have a third Power Rangers movie. This is the company that made Bambi 2 and cast Patrick Stewart as the Great Stag of the Forest. Let me repeat that. Disney made Bambi 2 with Patrick Stewart as the voice of the Great Stag of the Forest. And yet they did not come out with a third Power Ranger movie. The weird thing about Power Rangers under Disney is that Disney did not utilize Power Rangers to its full potential, and a theatrical release, another movie, would have been a logical thing to do. Now, you can argue if it was going to be Ninja Storm, Dial Thunder, SPD, any of those shows. That can be debatable. But the fact that they did not do a movie is just curious to me. I don't know why they had this franchise and basically just said, no, we're not going to do a movie, but we will greenlight Return to Neverland. And Hunchback of Notre Dame 2, Little Mermaid 2. Again, they made all these sequels, mequels, and prequels, but never once thought of using the Power Ranger franchise. Heck, Disney, again, recently acquired the rights to Star Wars, and they've already planned for the day it was announced. They already said we're going to do 3 new movies. But they never said, we got Power Rangers now, so we're going to make new Power Ranger movies, which would be the logical step. So, again, just really curious that never happened because, again, it's Disney. They make a movie out of everything. They made a movie out of Pirates of the Caribbean. They made a movie out of The Haunted Mansion. They made a movie out of the Country Bears Jamboree. And yet they didn't make a Power Rangers movie? It boggles the mind. I just can't wrap my head around that concept. Now, when Saban bought the rights back, I distinctly remember that they were doing an interview, or at least I forget if it was an interview or a press release, and they were talking about the things they would do with the Power Rangers franchise. One would be is that they would do the 20th anniversary. They would they would adapt Shinkanger into Samurai would be the next thing they would go ahead and do. And I do remember that they were talking about plans of a film release. Now, it didn't say feature film, didn't say theatrical release. None of that information was ever made. And to this day, we're still waiting for that film. But some people believe that what they were referring to was the Clash of the Red Rangers, which for those of you, it's a little confusing with a lot of the crossovers and stuff that are happening. This is where Scott from RPM comes and visit the Samurai Rangers, and then they do battle with Professor Cog. Now, I will state this is not a Power Ranger movie in the sense of a feature film or a theatrical release, because one, it was straight to DVD, and I believe it eventually got an airing on television. But the way it's edited is it's edited for commercial breaks. Film 101, film is not edited for commercial breaks. You have a certain pace and rhythm based on the 3-act structure, but you don't consider when you're going to go to the commercial. That's for the networks to do once it gets on television. So basically, it was filmed as a 2-parter. It was never really filmed as a movie. It doesn't have the scope or size of the movie. Yes, it does borrow elements from Sentai movies, which do have those sizes and scopes, but it's not a movie, and the trivia game is wrong. So if you are playing the trivia game, you get that question, you answer 2. I would challenge that on a number of bases. But if that's indeed the movie Saban was planning on doing in the first place, that doesn't make... I don't understand why they decided to do that. Because basically they took one character which they couldn't get to physically appear in a suit and tell a story that honestly is a very bland story and is a ripoff of the Shinkanger Go-Onger movie, but done less well. And that's being generous to say that it was done less well. So now where we are is we're still waiting for that third movie. We're still waiting for Power Rangers to do another film. And now we get into the weird territory of what should that film be. Because we've just passed the 20-year mark in Power Rangers. And so, should the movie... There are a few possibilities of what the movie can be. The movie can be a standalone alternate universe movie, like the first movie. It can be canonical with the series, which is what the Turbo movie was. Or we can get the dreaded R word, the reboot. Because what's happening is a lot of films are getting those reboots. I mean, you look at Transformers. When that first came out, that was not a continuation of the original cartoon series or a sequel to the 85 film. It was a completely different reimagining. And the thing was, is that film actually came out 20 some odd years later after the cartoon franchise. And what you're seeing is there are a lot of films, and we're talking about like the 90s and the 2000s, where where franchises were being adapted into film and getting these reboots for general audiences, and with bigger budgets and so forth. But the only franchise that is yet to have that adaptation or treatment is Power Rangers. And again, I don't know why. I mean, does a franchise have to wait so many years before it can get a reboot, before it can get this mass audience appeal? And all the pieces are there to do that. I mean, imagine if you do any 3 of the options, and really options 1 and 3 could be considered the same, but a reboot would be breaking all ties with any type of canon and starting over again. I mean, again, you can do any of those and have a great story, great narrative, great characters. Whether you want to create your new characters, or if you want to go ahead and start over with the original 5, original 6, however you want to go ahead and phrase that. And I think it's going to happen. It just depends on when is it going to happen, what's it going to go ahead and be about. And those are just the biggest concerns that I have at the moment, because we could get Michael Bay on the project and it could be other crap. I'm still reserved about the Ninja Turtles film. Or you can get somebody good on it who can help reimagine the character. I mean, heck, there's another Christopher Nolan out there, I'm sure, that can get a hold of this. Heck, I'd like to see Zack Snyder get a hold of it. I mean, well, there are other directors I would like, but for somebody who knows about action films and telling stories, I would definitely advocate for him. And I just don't know why, again, the 3rd movie isn't coming. You know, it should. I mean, it's inevitable. Power Rangers is a great franchise, and if you want to take it down to marketing, well, yeah, there's that. But there's just the action, the adventure, and the characters, and everything else that makes the franchise great. And I really hope that we get it. And, something else I want to go ahead and point out. The interesting thing about what Sentai is doing that I wish Power Rangers would pick up on is that they are actually doing theatrical releases of their crossover specials and actually have a movie every year. Now, of course, it's double billed with Kamen Rider. That's kind of like the formula that they have. But it would be so amazing to be able to go out to the movie theater, even if it was part of a double feature of another television show or cartoon, to watch a 45-minute, hour-long Power Rangers adventure on the big screen with the appropriate budget, with the appropriate director, and so forth. And, just have one come out every summer. Again, they've done that with other franchises adapted from Japan. I think Pokemon did that for the longest time, and then they started going to DVD. I mean, I don't know why you can't do that. I mean, yeah, it's $16 to go to the movies, and it's $12 for a bucket of popcorn, but heck, if the Lego movie would teach us anything, is that people will go see some of the most absurd stuff. And not that Power Rangers is absurd, but I would imagine Power Rangers could be better than a Lego movie if done right. But, yeah, I would love to be able to see that. So you look forward every summer to a Power Rangers movie, no matter how long it is, and then you can wait until the Christmas break to get the crossover movie with them and another team. Because, heck, if you do a feature film, might have a little bit more money to pay the actors for the crossover, especially if you end up flying them from the United States or wherever the heck they are nowadays. So, those are just kind of my general thoughts on the Power Rangers movies. Again, I would love to see one. I would show up. I mean, usually I wait till the following Tuesday or a week after when a movie comes out because I don't like dealing with crowds. I just can't stand that. I'd rather go at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday when nobody's there and everybody's in school, and I can go ahead and watch the movie in peace. Basically, that's kind of the main thing for me. But I wish Power Rangers would go into the realm of film. I mean, again, they are primed for a film franchise, and neither Saban nor Disney ever capitalized on their potential. I mean, again, other than the two films that we had, but my goodness, did Disney have a great opportunity to integrate Power Rangers into Disney canon, which is pretty much what they're doing with Star Wars right now. But they're choosing not to do that with Power Rangers, and I mean, Saban's not choosing to do that right now, and Saban's all about promoting Power Rangers through social media. Promoting them through the movie theater would be the next best thing, I would guess, but that's just my opinion on the matter. So I think that's all I really have to go ahead and say tonight. You know, maybe if I have later comments, I'll go ahead and address them, maybe with Raptor, D-Jedi, if we do a video together. But I definitely want to know your all's comments, and what do you think about Power Ranger movies? Should we go ahead and get another one? What should it be about? Should it be a reboot? Because I think that's the bigger question, is should it be a reboot? And if so, how would that be done? And I could probably do another video with Raptor about reboots and things of that nature. But in any case, I want to thank you guys for listening to me tonight. Again, things have just been difficult for me. And again, I am dedicating this to my good friend Connor, so he has the best seat in the house because, you know, well, yeah. So I want to thank you guys for listening. Have a good evening, and the tavern is now closed.